It is now 5:01 p.m., Thursday, I'm reading the wrong meeting minutes. Thursday, February 6th, 2025, and for the Town of Bowling Green Town Council. I have first on the list the consent agenda, item number 1 and 2. Let me call to order and establish a quorum. I'm sorry, I'm rattled today. Yeah, we'll do that too. But let me get a quorum first. All members are present. We have a quorum. Would everyone stand for the pledge? Sorry, I have a lot on my mind. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now let's move on to the consent agenda, items 1 and 2. Is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a second from Vice Mayor Coyle. A motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we're going to move on to member comments. Councilwoman Davis.
I would just like to say what a nice time we had at the party at Fort Walker. It was very nice.
Thank you. Councilman Voigt.
Thank you. Just a note or two. Looking at the agenda here, it does feel a little different than before. Like, you know, we just kind of with the pledge there. It used to be on the agenda. You know, that, or maybe I'm thinking the Planning Commission agenda, but more forward thinking. I would like to perhaps move our member comments to the end of the agenda, just to be able to respond to things that come up over the course of it. And while on a similar subject, I was actually expecting a bit more of a turnout here tonight, which is going to lead to another comment, so I'll just kind of say it nebulously. But with our new meeting time of 5, I haven't heard much, blowback yet. A little bit for as far as I can't make this meeting. This not a good change. I'm still okay with an earlier meeting. But we may, over time, might have to think about when there are important issues coming up, perhaps having a second comment later, or just moving when public comment is to facilitate when other people show up. I will give an example. In King George, they have 3 public comment periods. They have one when they start at 5:30, and then they have one in the middle and one at the end. I'm not saying that we should necessarily do that. They're a bit of a bigger county, but we'll have to think about that as we feel from the public as we go along. But I'm okay with things as they are for right now. And I think that's all I got for today.
Thank you. Councilman Webb. Dr. Chenault. Councilman. Councilman Hagman. I too believe that I was going to ask 2 things of council, 2 motions from council. One, that we move our comments to the end of the agenda rather than at the beginning. I've noticed through the years watching these proceedings that sometimes you'll ask questions that are answered during the actual council meeting. And there are times you want to respond to public comments and you do not have the format with which to do that. So if you have your comment period at the end for our council people, it would make more sense. It would give you a better chance to address anything that came before us during the meeting. So at this time, and I have some other things to say, but I would like to ask you at this time if you would consider making that motion.
Do you have a spot in mind?
for public comment or for our comments, I was looking at, actually probably before our adjournment, which is where we had it at Planning Commission.
I'd suggest perhaps before any closed sessions, because
You
generally
want it
the
before
public would
closed
normally
session?
leave when you go into closed session.
Gotcha.
So I think, you know, and it's, I'm sure it's just me, but I'd forgotten that I was all in favor of doing away with the work session. To be honest with you, I had forgot that we'd moved it up to 5 instead of 6. I thought we moved up 6, we'd do away with put the work session at the end. So I think it's gonna take a month or two to feel out what our constituents think about a 5 o'clock thing. Some of them may not be happy because of getting off work, but I can see the value of having something at the end. But I almost think we ought to do it at the beginning and the end if you're gonna do that, because like I might want to come here. Like I went to King George a couple months ago just to get up and thank their fire and rescue guys for helping with that Wreaths Across America thing. I didn't want to sit for the whole meeting, I didn't wait to the end. I wasn't there to complain about anything. I just want to say thank you and get my hat. So if we're gonna do an earlier meeting, which people might drift in late, I think we'll do a public comment first and at the end if you're for putting another one in.
Well, we're
That's
talking about
fine,
our
but
own
right
member
now I'm
comment
asking
right
for a
now.
motion about our council comments. To move those to the end.
Oh, council comments.
Yes, council
Oh,
comments.
I thought you said public. I'm
no,
sorry. I thought you said
you're all
public
right.
comment.
No, and we will address that next. So thank you.
What did you mention at your council comments? Or
I
public?
mentioned both, so
Okay,
that's
I'm
what
sorry.
got
I
you.
thought
but
it was public comment.
no,
we were
like
talking
this first one is may I?
Go ahead.
Okay. Like there's times where during our member comment, we'll come in with something that's not like on the agenda. Say something around the town, whether it be the street lights or parking or the tax things going on right now, right? And I was thinking about it, and that our member comment is always before all of our staff reports, and so there's times where we start talking about an issue, and staff already kind of has some stuff that they're going to say in their staff report that we may not have gotten. They might have a statement, and there's a little bit of a stealing thunder aspect there, but also if they already have like a fix for an issue, and then we get up here and we're upset about something, but they already like they're going to say something during theirs. If our member comment is reserved like after that, then we can respond differently than before because we didn't know that they might have had something to say. So that's where I'm coming from with that.
What does King George have as far as public comment? Once?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I have a motion to move council comments to the end of the agenda? Well, before the closed session on the agenda after informational items?
I'll make the motion. So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman Voigt. Do I have a second? I have a second from Councilman Hagman. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. So we will now move our member comments starting the next meeting after informational items. Now, the next item I would like to ask you about is, yes, public comments. We have started earlier. Many people are unable to be here because of work. Especially tonight, I anticipate that we will have members of the public coming, and they are unaware that we are starting at 5. And I think it would be in our best interest to reopen public comments at the end of our council meeting, at the very end before we adjourn, so that we can address any concerns from our citizens, because we want to be as transparent as possible. So we can address, I'm looking at just tonight, we can address member or people's comments, citizen comments, and having more than one on the agenda. after this, but I'm looking at tonight. I need a motion that we can you give me the power to reopen public comment, please.
Andy, on public comments, I thought we couldn't answer them during the meeting. It was something we would take notes and get back with them at a different date.
We can, but if I open public comments right now, there are next to nobody sitting out here. They are unaware, many people are unaware that our meetings are now starting at 5. And I have concern because of events that have happened that we are going to have people show up here thinking that the meeting starts at 7 and wanting to voice their comments. And they won't have an opportunity to do so because we'll be walking out the door. And then that's going to create ill will with the community. And I do not want that.
Go ahead.
Well, I have absolutely no issue with us having a public comment where it is on the agenda right now and adding an additional one tonight and in the future, just before our member comments. So it'd be nice to have 2 public comment sessions, and we'd like the opportunity then. I think it's appropriate to address any comments that we want to afterwards. I think that's how a meeting should be run. So I have absolutely no issue with that.
Very good. There are times I would like to comment back to the public also, but our rules don't allow that. So if their public comment is before our member comment at the informational item, then we can, yes, we can accommodate that. We can put them just before us. That way, if you want to address it, you have the ability to do so. But right now, I need that motion for tonight. Go ahead, Ms. Cindy.
Madam Mayor, just for clarity, are you requesting it before informational items, after informational items, before closed session?
After
That's fine.
informational items and before closed session.
Before the member comments or after?
I would like to see, public comment before our member comments. That way you can respond if you choose to. And I know that's been a frustration of council not being able to respond to the public.
All right, we should probably put this into the form of a motion to get to any further discussion.
Yes,
So
please.
I'm gonna try to put out what I think we got to. So make a motion to add a second public comment at the end of the meeting between informational items and the new member comment after that,
Starting tonight.
starting tonight.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Councilman Webb. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And the last comment that I have, so we can move on to this agenda. I have been going around to the businesses. I will be going around to churches and for civic organizations. Our town manager has been wonderful. She has ordered bags for me. I have been gathering information from all of our businesses. I haven't gotten to all of them, but we are going to fill these bags with items about Bowling Green. So when we have new people move into our area, and we know who they are because they have their water turned on, we can give them this bag. They can have all of this information. It'll have information about our town, our voting districts. It'll be informational, have flyers and a bunch of goodies in the bag from the different businesses, brochures from the churches. So if I have not gotten to your business, you have a business, any of you out there listening on camera, if you have a business, please contact me or bring something to town hall. We want to fill this bag. We want to promote our town. We want to help our businesses, and we want to flourish. So we will move on now to the next item on the agenda, and that will be public comment. Anybody wishing to speak during public comment, you have 3 minutes with which to speak. You will state your name and your address. Your 3 minutes starts after that time. We are not permitted to respond to your comments as much as we'd like to, but we want you to know that what you have to say is important to us, and we are listening, and you will address me, the chair. I now open public comment. Is there anyone wishing to come up and speak? Anyone else? Going once? Okay, at this time, we will close this public comment session. Next, we will move on to staff reports. First, we will have the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In close, you have my report. I will be brief. Our FY22 audit is progressing. We received feedback from the auditors on the 31st with a couple of other items that we needed to follow up on. So once those be completed, I'll reach back out to you all. If time permits, we will potentially have a special meeting. If not, it'll be presented at the March meeting. Our new town website is also progressing. I should have a the final concept and draft of that within the coming weeks. The surplus vehicles that you all approved for sale in late 2023 have been sold. The amount is there enclosed in your report. We've also followed up with Fort Walker on the Intergovernmental Support Service Agreement, and that is progressing. Our CIP budget process is underway. I attended Local Government Day at the General Assembly last week and worked with our delegation, so we'll see hopefully the outcomes of that in the coming weeks. Following up on some high priority items from our previous meetings, light pole repairs with Dominion. Their external affairs representative indicated that they would be beginning work during the week of the 27th of January 27th, and that repairs could take anywhere between 5 to 10 days. So we are working to follow up with them on that. VDOT, after many years of persistence, have come out to fix and assess the sidewalks on Main Street that were in need of repair. That was something that Councilman Hagman was persistent about last year, and they finally came out and took care of that. Enclosed is the rest of my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Andy, do we know that if the Dominion Power has been here yet? Have they been doing anything?
They indicated that their crews were on site. They said depending upon their work, it could be 5 to 10 days on the repair. So we will check back in on those light poles that were reported to see if they in fact have been completed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, we'll have a report from the Finance Department.
The report from the Finance Department is enclosed.
Bowling Green Police Department.
Our chief is away at Chiefs training this week in Richmond. His report is enclosed as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Community Development Department. Mr. LaRiviere.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor, honorable council members. The compliance audit with DEQ for Chesapeake Bay is ongoing. We hosted DEQ on site for site inspections of recent construction projects in town, and we'll be hearing back from them on the next steps in this process in about 6 weeks. Working with VDOT on a couple projects. Small repairs were made on Main Street to a curve that had been crumbled. That's finished. Conducting pre-application site visits for potential developments and ongoing discussions with potential developers. Issued 5 permits, a couple notice of violations for tall grass. Preparing for the Department of Health audit of our cross connection program, which will begin this month or next. And collaborated with the town manager and the Fort Walker exit team to help move that project forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Public Works.
Public Works report is enclosed. I'd like to thank their staff for being very persistent on the VDOT repairs, as well as, I think since our last meeting, the snowstorm and cleanup and the prep that they do continuously through the winter for all of our infrastructure. So I'd like to give them a shout out.
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to add something about that. Right out here, not the first entrance coming to our parking lot, but the second entrance, that sinkhole. Are we responsible for that, or is that the state or the county? Or when you pull into when you come in off of the street and you turn in there, the side closest to us on that particular turn is going way down. It's all cracking up and it's starting to sink in. And there's a pothole right there too.
Okay, I'd have to get more information. I'll have to get some more
There's
information.
two entrances to our parking lot. It's the farthest one closest to the chief's office, but it's this side of that curb.
Okay, we'll have to go out and take a look at that site and
it's
get with
gone down quite a bit.
VDOT on that. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there a utility report?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm here to present the utility report on behalf of Imboden. I'll just be brief on the utility report and touch base on some accomplishments that we've made since we've been on site. This month was pretty quiet, or well, this would be for December, I apologize. Was pretty quiet. Everything was business as usual. We worked through some meetings with Stantec and Bowling Green and myself, talking about some CIP items and how to improve the gross alpha issues. All very productive meetings. The wastewater plant has been running very, very well. Managing the solids. Also had some CIP items discussed about sludge management and those types of items to help sustain sludge removal and keep the solids flowing out of the plant. Well, sorry, that was the wrong term. Going where it needs to go for disposal. Everything else has been great. Some accomplishments we've made. We've gotten rid of the filamentous. We've removed the settability issues, which now there's virtually no settability issues. We've got that nailed down pretty good. We're still looking at the sand drying beds, still discussing some things we may or may not be able to do with that, like chemical addition or just tilling it up to help aerate the sand a little bit to help the water drain a little bit better. That may or may not work, but that's usually how sand drying beds are operated. We've, in terms of water treatment, everything's going really good there. We've identified some grease issues, not horrible, but it's there. Every facility I've ever been at has grease issues. I'm sorry.
Do you I'm sorry, do you use like a chemical grease eater to eat away the enzymes, to eat away at the fats in the water? Or?
Yes, ma'am. So what it actually is there are specialized bacteria that companies actually produce. I don't know the correct terminology, but they grow it on a media in a controlled environment, and you have it for cold weather, you have it for grease, you have it for in oil spills in the ocean, which is unrelated to the wastewater plant. That goes as far as they add this stuff to the oil spills in the oceans, and it eats up the oil and converts it to a safe byproduct. So it's a very well pronounced industry that takes care of these types of things. They help the settability, they help get rid of filamentous. It's a broad range of bacteria that can do, but to specifically answer your question, yes, grease, that's a well-known product. You can add it to the lift stations, you can add it to the wastewater plant, but no, it's a very well-known science. It works very well.
Well, thank you for that education.
Yep.
I'll let you go on.
And I think that pretty much concludes everything. We've managed some hydraulic issues. All in all, just we provided some education. I mean, as you all are aware, we have taken on the employees that Bowling Green had, and we've just given them some education and helped them, which they're very knowledgeable. And we just added a little bit of benefactor to it and really set it in the right motion. They've been great. It's been a great opportunity to help Bowling Green out. It's been awesome.
We appreciate it. Go ahead.
Question. So no more Philomenas.
No, it's gone.
So that was precluding us dumping at the county.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to show them a report card or something, or will they start taking, we don't have to haul somewhere else?
I mean, if we could get a micro exam done and we could get somebody to confirm that there is no Philomenas, which it's not.
Are we still needing to haul sometimes?
Oh, yes.
And where are we taking it now?
The last drop off was in Hanover.
Okay. Does it make more sense to use Caroline?
It would definitely be more cost effective to use the county facilities as we were before.
Can we let them know that we're clean again?
For sure.
Okay.
And just as a disclaimer, Philomenas can come and go as it pleases, but you have to manage the environment that it's in. That's how you keep it going. There's no guarantees. You can have a bloom of it, and when it takes over, you have to be proactive. You have to be very on top of it. Philomenas is a word that operators do not want to hear. It's like a big scary word.
How often do you test for this?
It's very. I'm sorry. Did you?
Well, if we're going to be dumping at the county facility because we have a clean bill of health, how often do we have to retest to make sure that this is in compliance with what the county is asking?
For the Philomenas.
Mm-hmm.
That's really an observation that's made every day, because when you get Philomenas, I wish I had some pictures. In the settability jar, you'll have where it's setting real down low. It's 1,000. There's 0 to 1,000. And if it starts floating up, we do these tests every day. If it starts floating up, that's when we start looking under the microscope more aggressively. And not always is it Philomenas, but if it's staying all the way at the top, that's usually Philomenas.
Okay.
It's very, and people don't want it because when Philomenas takes over, it takes over. So it's a very, very aggressive bug. It's very effective at getting rid of BOD, but it's not very effective at keeping solids in your plant. So.
Very good.
Thank you, Jamie. And I just want to clarify for the record so that there isn't any confusion. It would be more effective for us to work with the county, but there has not been any conversations about them accepting it. And quite frankly, I think there would probably need to be some conversations between the council and the board for that to take place moving forward.
And we can provide whatever you need for it's a pretty easy test. And if they want to come and look at the microscope, it's probably the easiest way to confirm it.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Okay. I mean, I guess, one thing, so the Philomenas, that was an issue ever since you had the place, right?
It was about the first 2 or 3 weeks. It was gone quickly.
It was gone quickly because that was a follow-up. Like, how long have we been clear, since you check every day?
Give or take 4 months.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
Yeah, no, it's been there for a little bit. It was kind of coming back, and it was because Philomenas just does not want to go away, and it would float up. We would change wasting rates, and it eventually just died out.
Okay. Different line of question here. Going back to the grease, where's that affecting it most? At the plant itself or the lift stations?
Both.
Yeah.
It's hard on the pumps. It's hard on the electrical. It clings to everything.
Any particular station that's giving trouble?
I'm sorry.
Any particular stations are having a harder time than others?
I believe it's over at the apartment complexes across from Food Line, Maury Heights, I believe.
No, Maury Heights is down that way.
Okay.
That's I'm blanking on the name. Yeah, here it is.
What was that?
Heritage Pines. It's across from Food Lion.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. That was the worst. And we've been working with the maintenance guys to identify that and show them what's up. And they're proactive about it.
Okay, cool.
And the reason why it's bad for the wastewater plant is it can actually act like filamentous. It can enshroud the bacteria in grease and make it buoyant. And buoyant things don't sink. So that's that can cause problems. But it's pretty well managed at the wastewater plant. It just creates an unsightly foam, and we don't like to see foam.
Yeah, there was a lot of PSA and public things that they brought out to the Caroline Service Authority Board of Directors, not Caroline King George Board of Directors for their service authority. I was sitting through a few of those, and maybe that's the thing to talk with you all about, doing some more of that.
Yeah, grease. Every municipality, utility should be proactive with grease. Everyone. It creates big issues. It's very hard to break down fat, and that also applies in the world of bacteria. So it's very it takes a lot more to get rid of grease. If you take care of it in the lift stations, it's easier, which we've worked on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any more questions? We're good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We have no unfinished business.
Madam Mayor, I did have some questions going back to the finance department. We didn't get to question phase of
I'm sorry.
the other things, if
Go
that's
ahead.
okay. All right. Okay, so back to the finance report. The very last item there, the deposits, get that new scan processor. So that says here it's going to allow the finance office to deposit from here without having to go to the bank for checks and everything. A complaint that I heard a lot, we'll say 6 to 12 months ago, was a lot of folks were saying that their checks were never getting cashed. One of the things that when I asked a long time ago about that, I was told that the bank would only accept X amount. I couldn't tell you the number, but X amount of checks per day when they were delivered. So I just wanted to ask, like, is this going to help a lot with that? Is there a limit to the deposit that can be made if we know right now?
I would have to follow with specifics as it relates to the dollar amount, but the process improvement was to improve the ability to have checks processed quicker so that they clear people's accounts so that they don't have that kind of backlog that existed before. So
That's
yes,
awesome.
that's the intent.
Yeah, I kind of thought that this was a fix, but I want to clarify before I really highlight it. Like, hey, this is addressing that issue, which really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting that thing.
Yep.
On a possibly more sour note, on the page before, we see a note here that says personal property notices are forthcoming. So they haven't been sent yet. And like we're aware of the real estate tax issue that we just had. So we looked into knowing if we're going to have a personal property tax delinquency notice issue like the real estate one.
At this point, I have stopped all delinquent processes until we can assess the systems that we currently have, as well as implementing the system that we have procured to try to avoid these issues moving forward.
Well,
so
thank you.
I do
again.
not have a timeline at this point. Given a discussion that we will have later, there will be operational impacts that could delay all of that.
Yeah, sure. I just saw that, kind of took notice. That's all for this. Thank you.
Town manager, thank you. Okay, we will move on to new business. We have the reappointment of planning commissioners. The terms of planning commissioners Matthew Benjamin and Scott Sigmund, whom I know very well and think very highly of, expire on March 16th, 2025 and March 1st, 2025. Town staff is requesting that town council reappoint the members who have expiring terms. The length of the terms is set for 4 years, and 2 years from now we'll have other planning commissioners be reappointed. But right now we're going to deal with Matt and Scott. So I would like to ask for a motion that we reappoint Matthew Benjamin and Scott Sigmund to our planning commission.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Scott's not here. Is he wanting to be part of it?
Yes, so everyone has been asked before they were put on this agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilman Voigt, a second by Councilman Hageman. Is there any discussion?
I have one question. I see under the closed session, we're supposed to be discussing applications for the planning commission.
That's because there's a vacancy because I am now mayor and not chairperson of the planning
Okay, so
commission.
we're talking about an
Just
additional.
an additional, yeah,
oh,
there's a
okay.
vacancy there. Yeah, they're being reappointed and this will be a new person coming on. So, any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Welcome back to the Planning Commission, Mr. Benjamin.
You kept your job, Matt.
And I do have one question to the town manager. Would you please check with our clerk of court to see if he needs to be sworn in again, he and Scott?
Sure,
Thank
will
you.
do.
Thank you. And I'm glad you just finished your classes and aced them and you are a certified planning commissioner. So that is tremendous. And we are thanking you for your service. Okay. What?
We're gonna miss you.
Oh, thank you. All right. We are now going to move into closed session. So at this time, we will ask the public to please vacate the premises. Thank you.
So
Got to
do
make the
you
motion.
want to? I'll make a motion. So I would.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. So, and might need some help on how to do this, but in addition to what we have, the consideration of the Planning Commission and membership of Town's Board of Zoning Appeals. So I'd like to make that a motion, but amend it to include a motion for a closed session meeting pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 for the discussion of resignation of specific appointees. Do I do that as one motion, two separate closed sessions?
The motion for closed session or the code section that you're referring to, it allows you to go under, allows you to discuss both. So you can go under, you can discuss the BZA, the Planning Commission, and the resignation of a specific officer.
Okay.
All under 3711A1.
Okay.
So you can read what's already presented to you in the agenda, and
Okay.
then you can add
Okay.
in the discussion of resignation of
Gotcha.
the particular office.
Okay, I move that the council convene in closed session pursuant to code section 2.2-3711A1 for discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for appointment to the planning commissions, and recommendations to the Circuit Court of Caroline County for membership on the town's Board of Zoning Appeals, and to discuss the resignation of specific appointees.
Second.
Do you mind adding who this specific appointee is?
Town treasurer.
Thank you.
Second.
So I have a motion by Councilman Stork. I have a second by Councilman Voigt. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries by unanimous vote. Okay. I apologize.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we come out of closed session pursuant to the reason we went into closed session.
May I add and certify by roll call vote that only the items mentioned in the motion for closed session were discussed during that closed session?
Yes.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Councilman Stork and a second from Councilman Hageman.
And Madam Mayor, at this point, it has to be roll call vote to certify.
So is there any discussion? Okay.
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis, yes. Councilman Voight,
Yes, and I certify.
Yes, I certify.
Yes, I certify.
I certify yes.
Yes, I certify.
Yes, I certify.
I have all 7 council persons on record voting in the affirmative and certified. So next on the item on the agenda, we have the appointment of the planning commissioner and the recommendation for the zoning board. And there's the third motion would be for the interim town treasurer. So let's focus on planning commission first.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the application and appoint Lauren Wilcox Grimsman to be, and to complete the term vacated by the mayor for 2 years.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion from Councilman Stork, a second from Councilman Voight. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we instruct the town manager to reach out to Tamika Morgan as a consultant and with the potential of acting as our interim town treasurer.
We have a motion from Councilman Stork and a second from Vice Mayor Coyle. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. And the recommendation for the Board of Zoning Appeals, are we going to
I'd like
just
to make a
move that
motion
out?
to direct staff to bring back, the language for a code change to change the BZA from 5 to 3 members.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion from Councilman Voight, a second from Councilman Hageman. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We're at the point, let's take a break for a moment. We're going to take a break for a moment. I'm going to use the restroom. I feel We are back in session. There are no other members out here to speak, no members from the community. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting tonight.
Second.
All in favor? Council meeting closed.